At this time, we're going to begin by asking everyone to rise for the pledge as we call Ms. Lauren Wilson and Hadley Barnes to the front.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Order. Arms. Right. Face. Forward. March.
You may be seated. Good afternoon. I'm Gina Treadway, proud principal of Gilmer Elementary, and it is my honor on behalf of our students, staff, and the entire Gilmer ISD community to welcome Commissioner Mike Morath, our distinguished guests, and our community members who are joining us today for this very special occasion. And a special occasion it is to kick off a school year and to start with a celebration of all the hard work that went into preparing us for today. We have teachers and staff that live out our mantra, Buckeyes Rise. And at Gilmer Elementary, we know what that stands for. We prioritize delivering rigorous instruction, inspiring our students to reach their full potential, supporting one another as team members, and elevating expectations for ourselves and for our students. I see every day our teachers rising above the challenges that we face in public education. That was magnified when COVID hit. And our teachers, our entire team, made a commitment that we were not only going to survive through that, we were going to thrive. And I think that's what brings us here today. You have a group of team members that are committed to showing up and showing out every single day for what matters most, and that is our students. So I'd like everyone to give them a big round of applause. They've risen above every single challenge presented to them, and that includes implementing new curriculum as we search for the greatest and best for our students. 2 years ago, we implemented a structured phonics program, And I will say our data is telling us we're getting results from that. This year, we're implementing, launching Bluebonnet Math, which is a new implementation for us. Our teachers have gone through multiple training throughout this summer, all in preparing to give our students the very best. So I applaud them for all of their hard work, for showing up every single day and being committed to living out our mantra. It is because of that that brings us to this celebration. And to us, this celebration is not about an A rating. It is about everything that we have poured into these students to get us to where we are. So thank you, teachers, for pouring your hearts into this campus and into our students and into one another. Students, as I look out at the sea of the students that we have in here for us today, these were our third graders last year, our current fourth graders. They are the heart and soul of this school. Thank you for your commitment to showing up and being the very best students in Texas. You make us proud every single day. As proud as I am as what brought us here today, I know that this is just the beginning. This recognition today is long awaited and well deserved. But I know this is making us hungry for more. We led off and kicked off this year with talking about our goals and our mission and our vision for this year, and we knew then, before we knew about this celebration today, that we are headed for greater things, and we have just the team to do it. So everybody, watch us this year, because here at Gilmer Elementary, Buckeyes rise. At this time, it is my honor to welcome Mr. Rick Albritton to the stage.
I'd just like to thank everyone. Here we go, we'll move this up a little bit. Thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you to our school board for providing the resources, the encouragement, and just the direction for the school district. They have high expectations. They give us everything we need. So I appreciate so much the school board being here today to enjoy the celebration as well. I'd also like to just welcome our guests. I'll do my best. City Manager Greg Hudson, new City Manager coming up, Ms. Bullock, Tim Marshall, the Mayor, Larry Webb, our Sheriff. Back in the back, Mr. Snyder is the Executive Director for Region 7. I'll leave you alone, Dennis. And more than it's a really honor that our Congressman Nathaniel Moran is here today as well, so thank you for coming. My biggest thanks, or my largest thanks, goes to our staff and students. As you look, some of our teachers are in the back and around, our kids are here. Our teachers really, I believe this, are the best in the state. They work extremely hard every day in equipping our children for a successful life, not just for a test, but for every day. Passing one single assessment tells a very small portion of the whole work our students and staff put into teaching and learning every day. However, today we're celebrating Gilmer Elementary and Gilmer ISD for their proficiency on the A to F accountability system. I'm extremely proud of everybody here. We have representation from all of our schools. We had 3 A's and a B. The district was a B. We all missed it by, I think, 0.2 of a point. But we're close. And there again, it's a great demonstration that lets the public know things about our school district, but it tells a very, very small portion of what these kids do every day. And I can't tell you how proud I am of everybody here, especially my teachers and my kids. So with that, I don't talk very long. I'm very happy to introduce. So I really don't know a whole lot about our commissioner, except he was in the Dallas Board, ISD. He is and I like the way she said this, a dad for kids. You have 4 children yourself. He served on that board, and he served as our commissioner, and really has pushed us into a data-driven, research-based approach to education. This is part of it, and I'm really, really proud to have him here, Mike Moran. Morath.
Well, I am so excited to be here at Gilmer ISD celebrating the work of the kids, the staff, the principal, the school board. For those who don't know, school board members work without pay. It's the worst job in America. Thank you for what you do. But really the reason that I'm here is to celebrate what is, of course, known as a football powerhouse, but celebrate an academic achievement, an academic powerhouse here at Gilmer, and to talk about what this means in the context of results for the state as a whole, in how we have an A through F system. So there's a lot of conversation about how we evaluate school performance. And fundamentally in Texas, this conversation begins with a basic moral belief. This moral belief has been codified into state law. It's been reinforced by multiple acts of public policy. And it's the belief that all children, that everyone in this room, all of the kids, regardless of their age, regardless of their background, where they come from, what they look like, regardless of where they live, that all children can learn and achieve at high levels if we, the adults in their life, do what it takes to support them. It is, and again, it's a moral commitment to children, and it can seem very highfalutin and abstract at times. And we make it very specific. In Texas, the State Board of Education adopts a set of curriculum standards. And so, for example, when we say that all children can learn and achieve at high levels, third graders, who these guys used to be, should have their times tables memorized at the end of third grade. Raise your hands. These are all fourth graders now. Raise your hand if you've got your timetables memorized. Let me see who's got your timetables memorized. So we're getting there. And this is fundamentally what it's about. If we do the right thing in our classrooms, yes, we will love our kids, but you don't just love them up to memorizing the timetables. You got to teach them. You got to teach them reading and writing and math and science and social studies, the history that has brought our country to this point, the skills that they will need to take our country to the next point. And this is what happens in grade classrooms. We, again, have a set of standards that we adopt at a state level where we codify this every nook and cranny of the educational journey. Well, you can read the words behind me, but it says, here's a standard. Represent 1- and 2-step problems involving addition and subtraction of whole numbers up to 1,000. There will be some math in this speech. So if you think about that, the word doesn't start with solve. It actually starts with represent. This is the beginning of algebraic reasoning. When I think about why it's important for us to learn math, we are blessed to live in a wonderful creation. And there are rules that the Creator made. And mathematics is our ability to understand how that creation works. It allows us to understand all of the world around us. It unlocks huge amounts of opportunity for us in life. And this starts with little building blocks of knowledge in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. We then ask ourselves, we have a very popular test that kids take at the end of the year, the STAR test. Raise your hand, kids, if you really love taking a STAR test. That is more hands than I expected. I'm a dad, I'm a fourth grader, and we have a seventh grader, and our twins are in second. And you know, this test is not meant to remark on the character of our children. It's actually meant to tell us whether or not what we have done is what our kids require. And you think about this same standard, represent 1- and 2-step problems. Here, let's unlock this problem. An art teacher had 736 crayons. That is a whole number under 1,000. She threw away 197 broken crayons. I have to realize that when I encounter this situation in the real world, that I need to begin to subtract. She then bought 150 more crayons. This is now a 2-step problem, and with that bought, I need to recognize, need to represent that addition is now happening. This is what it is. This is not magical, it is not mystical, it is hard work. That's what it is. It's about teaching kids the skills that they need to be successful in our great country. And we then hold ourselves to account for how well we have done that. We willingly label ourselves with an A through F, just like we give our kids A through F grades on their assignments. And We do this because it's common sense. Like, of course, we should understand how well are we working in support of our kids. But it's also well studied. The accountability system of Texas has been studied for its impact. The fact that we issue public ratings, the fact that we can have celebrations like this, in rooms like this, with children and adults, it causes us to get better results for kids over time. And I don't mean that they just do better on a standardized test. That is nice, but that's not the reason anybody has kids. They go to school on a regular basis. They have fewer discipline problems. They end up doing better in high school. They graduate from high school at higher rates. They're more likely to go off to college. Researchers actually studied kids from Texas because of the accountability system, and at 25 they were making more money than they would have been had we not done this. We do this because it's the right thing to do to unlock the potential in the eyes of each of these kids that is in front of us today, and to prepare them for the American dream. That's why we do this. It is hard. Today, I get to celebrate that performance at Gilmer Elementary, because y'all are knocking it out of the park. And we should clap for that. Yes. The work of educating every child, every day, every classroom, these results can seem magical to some, but it's not magic. It is hard work, it's dedication, it's professionalism, and it is iterative. You do a little bit better every year. We look at our performance this year compared to what it was last year, build an action plan so that next year is better, and you actually see this and change over time. Last year, school was B, this year it's an A. Next year, it's going to be an A+, because this is a team that is delivering results for kids. This is why we celebrate. I wish I could say the same is true everywhere. There's 9,000 campuses in Texas. I have the good fortune, I wake up every day and my job is to help 5.5 million souls. That is the size of Texas public education. Spend about $85 billion a year on this institution across 1,200 school systems. 400,000 teachers, 400,000 other folks providing support. It's a big institution. And Gilmer has achieved excellence. Of all the places in Texas that I could choose to be today, I want to be here today to celebrate the work of these teachers and this principal. Principal would stand up. Teachers, raise your hand. You need a pep rally. You need more than what we get when we win state championships, because y'all are winning state championships in reading and math and science and social studies. That's what's happening. So thank you. We are blessed to have you. We have other places in the state where there is challenge. There are places where we stumble and we fall. We're human. That happens. But the question is, how do we reflect on that performance? What do we do so that we build an action plan so the next year is better than last for our kids? This is what we do. The way that we evaluate performance in Texas is a very balanced approach. We look at overall achievement. So did our third graders at the end of the year, did they master all that stuff in math? Did they master the times tables? But we also recognize we have kids that come from a huge array of backgrounds. And sometimes they walk into school with pretty significant challenges. So we also look at how much academic growth they occurred. Even if everybody in fourth grade started as a first grader, if you grew them 2 full years in that year, we need to give you a ticker tape parade too. And so we will give schools the higher the rating of academic proficiency or academic growth. And we do that for all the kids on average. But if you really believe that all means all, if you really can look in the eyes and shake the hands of every single kid in this auditorium and want to make sure that you're doing the best for them, then we can't just look at the average kid. We've got to look at how we are closing the gaps among all of our groups of kids. And so we do that as well. This is how we evaluate campuses. It is a moral commitment to the next generation of Texas. Statewide, what we saw this year was improvement. We've seen educators, we're really blessed to have an army of angels around the state of Texas working for us. And we've seen a lot of great work in schools around the state. We had rated schools last year. We'd had 18% that would have received an A. This year, 23% received an A. Fully 31% of our campuses got better year over year. This is what we want to see. And in fact, some schools, it was pretty remarkable. We had 637 campuses go from a B to A, but you had 5 campuses statewide that went from an F to an A. That kind of turnaround is very difficult to do, but necessary. Kids only get one shot in the first grade. So what do we do to make sure that we're doing the best for them every year? There are some who think that this is just demographic destiny. All that you're doing is labeling neighborhoods. That is not correct. The teachers in this school can tell you that that is not correct. The work that they do matters and it has an impact. And when you do it well, you can change the trajectory of the life of one kid, of one family, of one entire neighborhood, when you do it well. We actually have, as you can see, 361 campuses in the state of Texas where more than 80% of the kids need some kind of federal support to eat on a regular basis, and still have achieved the highest level of performance in our A through F system. Poverty is not destiny. What can make destiny is highly skilled teachers with a strong administrative team supporting them. Good curriculum, good instruction, and more of it. That's how we change lives. That's how we make public education the great equalizer. And make sure that this grand experiment in American democracy continues for the next 250 years. When we think about this, we use this as administrators. I was a former school board member 4.5 years, been on the Dallas board for 4.5 years, definitely felt like 40. Having a tool like this was powerful for me as a board member. My job was to make sure, are my schools better, the same, or worse than they were the year before? And how do I support my administrative team accordingly? So this kind of tool set, very important for me as a board member. But I'm a dad, not just a board member. And giving this information to parents is part of our belief that we know these are the children of they're the parents' kids. Parents are actually in charge in Texas. Unfortunately, that's not true everywhere, but it is definitely true in Texas. And so we put this information up on a website. You can visit it today, go to texasschools.gov. And you can check out the results of any school that you want in the state of Texas. Here you can see this school is a B, got an 87 out of 100. Clearly, we're not talking about Gilmer Elementary. Gilmer Elementary would be an A up there. This is what y'all were able to achieve in the last year. But you can see the performance history. If you're like me and you want to nerd out on education data, you can go all the way down the rabbit hole. But you can also just get a quick sense of what's happening. We actually have this year, we're releasing 2024 data at the same time as 2025 data because a couple hundred districts sued me over that. We did win that lawsuit, which is victory for children, although I will say the parents kind of did lose that lawsuit because I'm telling you today how well your school did 2 years ago doesn't do a whole lot of good for that parent 2 years ago. So you'll have this information up on the website. You can actually put in your home address and kind of map out around your neighborhood. You can search for different kinds of things. Do you have an advanced placement program? Is there a rigorous fine arts program? Is there dual language instruction? So you can filter for all of that on the website. You can do that and a whole lot more. But to spare you the details on the data, let me just come back to the work of education is the most important work that any civilization does. You can judge us by how well we serve the kids who will be the leaders in this country tomorrow. And for the teachers that are in this room, for those that don't work in education, you might not realize just how difficult their job is. At least for brain surgeons, we give them the benefit of only one brain at a time and anesthesia. Y'all are walking into the operating room and you're molding 20 brains simultaneously, and they're very much awake giving feedback during the procedure. So this is the hardest thing that we do. But I will also say it's the most important work that we do. There's an old Greek proverb that it goes something like this. It's wise is he who plants a seed, for a tree whose shade you'll never see. And you don't know what will happen after they are outside of your classroom. But you do know how well you supported them while they were there. And equipping them to pursue their purpose, to fulfill their God-given potential. It's the highest calling any of us can have. Thank you so much for what you do. God bless. And God bless Gilmer ISD. Oh, wait. There's me here. Maybe I'll take a few questions. I guess it's a press conference. It would be fair if I didn't let them ask a question or two. Anybody have questions? Whether you're with the media or soon to be graduating senior and have questions.
I'll defer my next question to an elementary schooler. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Commissioner, what do you make of efforts to replace the STAR test, and what would you like that test to look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. The legislature is currently debating, in fact, members of the legislature would have been here today, but they have other duties as assigned. The legislature is debating a replacement of the STAR test with a smaller progress monitoring instrument. So imagine have a test earlier in the year, in the middle of the year, and at the end of the year. And it's not that STAR is inaccurate, but it doesn't do you all that much good to help a kid in February. You don't get the results until June. And so the concept that we would be able to have a shorter test, give more immediate results to teachers and to their families, and allow for sort of more immediate course correction. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, and this is, of course, what the legislature is debating right now.
With the TA ratings, what's the biggest gains you saw statewide?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What's the biggest ratings or you saw statewide, like the biggest gains you saw statewide?
She asked about the biggest gain statewide. So here, I mean, Gilmer's improvements are incredible, and we should praise them. But they are, I think, indicative of a team that's just being relentlessly better year in and year out. Probably the biggest academic turnaround that you can talk about happened in Houston ISD. It's probably at that scale, it's the largest academic turnaround, I think, in the history of the United States. So in a school district that has really large numbers of students that come with very significant challenges, and actually are now exceeding state averages in mathematics performance statewide. They have 0 F campuses. I'm not sure that's ever happened in Houston, at least not in the last 40 years. So, it's a big school system, 300 campuses. So it's very impressive.
Talk again about what it was that allowed Gilmer to make this leap.
That's a great question, and he asked what happened in Gilmer that allowed this to happen. So I will start with leadership matters. The board, the superintendent, principal, you can create an environment of high expectations, internal accountability, reflection on performance, or you can create an environment where we think everything's okay and we stick our head in the sand. And so what you see here is you see a strong leadership team that believes that all children can learn and achieve, and that operates on that belief system. But you can't just end there. We think, broadly speaking, there's 5 ingredients you got to get right: leadership, talent, culture, curriculum, and instruction. So again, leadership starting with high expectations. Talent, are you relentless in how you recruit and how you support and grow the people that are on your team, how you retain the folks that are on your team so that they can continue to be effective year in, year out? From a culture perspective, what do you do to provide an environment of love and discipline? Because these things don't come without being connected. So that when students are sitting down in their seats, they are prepared to learn, they're ready to learn, they're getting the supports they need to be effective. When you think about curriculum, is it rigorous? Are we, in 3rd grade, are we memorizing our times tables? In high school, are we debating the fine reports of Shakespearean language? Is the nature of the curricular experience, is it designed so that from a cognitive science perspective, kids can actually learn from it? And then instruction. How well is instruction delivered? If you make the analogy that this is a very large classroom and I am a teacher, I can tell you that this is lousy instruction. And the reason why I can tell you that this is lousy instruction is because I have no idea if you actually understand what I'm saying. Teachers can't just talk. They have to make sure that all 20, all 35, every student in that room masters the day's lessons. And that is not something you are just born knowing how to do. It comes from a great deal of intellectual reflection and engagement. So when I think about leadership, talent, culture, curriculum, instruction, Gilmer gets it right.
How do you think the recent cell phone ban will help future ratings?
She asked about the cell phone ban. I think it's going to be wonderful. It will allow us to return to a time of learning without interruption. Again, I'm not just a dad, or I'm not just Commissioner of Education, I'm a dad, so my 7th grader asks me roughly once a week, when are you going to get a cell phone for me? And I keep explaining to her, I don't know why all the other kids have cell phones, but you're not getting one. So it's a distraction. It's actually, if you'll allow me to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, it's actually a study that if you put a cell phone face down on the desk of a student, it will reduce their performance on every single task that is assigned during that lesson, even when it's turned off. Any other questions?
What's your message to parents of students who are sitting at school who maybe isn't at an A, maybe they've been sitting at a C for a couple of years? What's your message to them?
Well, we got mama bears in the room and dads, but I play second fiddle in my house. We all want what is best for our kids. That's what every parent wants. And it is, you try to make the best decisions that you can, give the student, choose a good school for your kid, provide supports. But I think, it is a bit of a partnership. I trust the schools that I drop. I actually dropped my kids off this morning before I flew out here. I trust my schools to do right by my kids. I expect them to do right by my kids, but there's also, it's a two-way street. I've got to talk to my teachers, got to understand what the homework assignments are. I got to make sure that I'm supporting that homework at home. I got to make sure my kids aren't acting up. Like it's a two-way street, but I also want to expect the school to deliver good instruction. You heard in the introduction that they adopted a structured phonics curriculum here a couple years back. Like that is necessary. You don't really learn the English language without a structured phonics program. So. Talk to your school about the curriculum that they have. Make sure that it is rigorous. These are important. But if you're interested at home, you can also visit texasschools.gov and log in and see how well your school performed. Well, thank you all so much. It's great to be with you today.
Okay, that does end this celebration. My students know that I'm going to count down to 3, and they're going to stand up, turn, and face the door, and then their teachers will take over. 3, 2, 1. Guys, you did an awesome job. I'm super proud of you. You represented well today.